What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Harith and welcome back to Truspace.
Yep, and this is your weekly horoscope. So let's break down this energy that we're going to be hit with this week. Starting on Monday, the 10th, we have the moon in Sagittarius coming into a trine with Chiron, the sun, and Jupiter at the same time. On Monday, with them in Aries, how do you think this energy is gonna start off our week?
So right now our emotions and feelings they're gonna be like in the energy of being open-minded about philosophy, ideas, so we could actually express a broad form of vision and imagination, so we could extract knowledge and wisdom from them from these imagination.
100%. It's like a boost. I feel like Aries is obviously the driving force, and Sagittarius is the goal, kind of. Like the well traveled, building up the expectation. So it's kind of like aligning with the end goal. If you get what I mean, when Aries and Sag link up, it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like you can see the process, you can see the end goal, and it feels like you're accelerated in it because you're able to hold the bigger picture. So you're able to go through the beginning stages a little bit more optimistically, being able to retain that vision. I bet an Aries, Sun, Sag, Moon, or some shit. Wait, hey,
Dolo,
that's Dolo. That's
Dolo,
Dolo. Wait, I was
yeah.
the most
Mhm.
optimistic nigga, or the most can follow the path indefinitely, if you get what I mean.
So like when the moon is Sagittarius, you can obviously like see this saying reach a broad like philosophical conclusion about this new idea that started when the moon was in Aries, allowing you to initiate it. And Leo, you stabilized it. This is why Leo are better than Aries. They can hold their vision and maintain it, while Aries is gonna just initiate something else and leave it alone. But so sustainability happened when the moon was in Leo. The moon is Sagittarius. This is like the finalization of that vision, basically.
100%. So that's what you're emotionally going to be reacting to. So this could play out negatively in a way where maybe you start becoming or feeling a little bit restless, or like things should be further along than they are currently, and you end up starting to rush or become forceful with things, and you try and make things happen a little bit too fast because you feel that you're connecting to a bigger vision. But everything's still in Aries. We're still in Aries season, we're still in the spring season, so things may be cascading or starting. But the moon in Sagittarius, we, instead of allowing us to visualize the end product so that we can materialize it and bring it down, we make it lost in that vision and think that we can just jump into that portal without having to do the in between, which can cause a lot of recklessness where people start taking leaps, especially after the full moon. Maybe the full moon went good, you release some energy, your relationships are kind of on par or not coming into contrast with your individual expression. So you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna try whatever. And then you come up into some friction and you realize that you kind of push things a little bit too far. You kind of it thinned out your emotions a little bit too much because you've seen the bigger picture, and you kind of burn yourself out, really. So there's real vitality to be used, but wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention Chiron being there too, so there's that wound aspect, and Jupiter being there, so it's like a test of wisdom, like a boost of vision, a boost of vitality, a boost of inspiration, a boost of, people maybe agreeing with you, there's life to something. Something can, really take shape and form, but you have to move with wisdom. You have to move in intellectually, or else that vitality can be wasted.
Mm-hmm.
What about Mercury and Taurus sextiling Mars and Cancer? How do you think this
Mm-hmm.
adds?
So right now, as we're thinking and communicating and analyzing about our stability, our safety and security, really thinking about deep practical things that could stabilize our mind, so we could feel and think safely. And this is gonna allow us basically to see opportunity with the ways we're taking action. that is basically dealing with our family, home, domestic issue. So we could create some form of like safe place for us using our mind, which is focused on stabilizing, and our action that's focused on creating emotional bond and sense of comfortability, even though it might be very hard for Mars since Mars is debilitated here. You create a passive aggressive energy. The
Yeah,
best allegory for it is like a baby on a hot tub and he keeps pushing the water basically nonstop. That's Mars in Cancer.
100%, 100%. Like most of us don't even know this type of energy because it's so weird. But how to nurture our motivations, how to nurture our passions, to make that stuff grow without getting to that aggressive part, to be vulnerable with our passions. We always, especially when it's passions, we always like, oh, we're gonna go and prove them wrong. It's always spite and revenge that's the easy drivers of motivation, if you get what I mean. More separation, can be a driving factor. And that's Mars's, kind of job, kind of to separate from the home. You know what I mean? But for that passion to get to that point, it has to be nurtured from the home, and have a way to heal those passions in order to push you off to the other horizon, which can make you feel vulnerable, which can make you feel like things aren't moving fast enough. But once you do, it's like Mars's blade will never be dull because you took the time to learn how to self-care for your motivations. So therefore, once you get past this kind of trial, it's like you can really steamroll through the rest of the signs, because even if you mess up the energy, Mars and Leo, you don't know how to take your passion and put it onto the stage and present it, but you know how to heal the wounds from the damage. It doesn't matter. You can go out and do it. Oh, I fail. I know how to nurture and build up back that confidence, and give in to that vulnerability and to reflect. And then now I can go out, Mars and Virgo, if I can't make sense out of it, I know how to. So this is a valuable lesson, even though it's going to be very hard, and that passive aggression. I feel that a lot of times too, especially when I'm talking about certain things I'm passionate about, and I'm trying to connect with people, and they just throw it under the mud or
Yeah.
whatever it is. A lot of the times, like, you want to get upset, but I just, try and open. Why am I upset? I ask myself, why? Why did my emotions get so pulled into the situation, and remind myself, what can I learn from this situation? And then once you get better at that, which I've slowly become better at, you have more access to your energy, and you're more comfortable with vulnerability. If you get what I mean, like, it's okay for people to not accept the things that I'm passionate about, or not accept it, because I've dealt in those waters. I know it doesn't diminish that passion, that reality. If you get what I mean. But yeah, that's a deep lesson with Mars and Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what Monday's saying. So a lot of vital energy being pushed towards us on Monday, getting us started with this week, really pushing us forward to have an optimistic outlook. Maybe a lot of energy was released from that full moon, and we're seeing the free space now available for us to create with. So yeah, that's Monday. Looking at Tuesday, we have the Sun and Jupiter conjunct in Aries. How do you think this conjunction with Sun and Jupiter is going to be?
So now Jupiter, the planet of wisdom, knowledge, which help you basically extract knowledge and wisdom from this vision and imagination you want to give birth to. Now it's conjuncting the sun, which basically expanding your awareness, which travels so far in Aries and bringing it basically to new height. Jupiter deal like making things like fat, and Aries, the sun is exalted in Aries. So when they conjunct, I could see a lot of action, need to expand, even a lot of restless action because you want to bring that passion or desire into existence. And it's very aggressive here too, Aries too.
Big moves, big moves. Like that sound. This sounds like an alignment. This sounds like a day to make big moves, to take chances on yourself, to bet on yourself. Where luck will be on your side if you have an individuality or a person that you want to be, and Jupiter is going to add that that added boost for you to, okay, if I express this, this is what I think I am, and it's real and it's genuine because Jupiter can sense that. It's like giving you like a slippy slide, or what's a good example? Snakes and ladders. Snakes and ladders. You know how if you make a move and you land on a move where it's a ladder, you can go up to the other level and now you're up higher than. That's what Jupiter can be like, but it has to be an honest expression of self. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you need to do, what type of magic bag you need to get, and what you need to burn. But this sounds like some very magical energy to give birth to something larger than the self. If you get what I mean.
Like a great allegory, Jupiter is like the father, but the father has to pass down the vision for his son. But if the sometimes the son, a lot of children don't stand with their father. Sometimes fathers build business for their children and they don't take over. So here you can see if you combine the son and the father together, you get long term vision, and that's like what these people do, like on high, like high level. Let's say we could do that, but it's hard to do.
100%. Because look at how some authority figures or some parents would be like, "No, I'm ahead. I'm gonna take the charge." They don't see their employees or their younger ones, which is going to take over as the future or like assets that they can add to it. So then maybe they'll lose vitality, or get lost with the times. But with the blending of this new vitality with the wisdom of the old, you can carve out new lanes. So it's important that they come together, and that we not get too caught up on the old, but to not neglect the wisdom that the old had gave us. If you get what I mean.
Yeah. That's how societies get built, or society gets destroyed, essentially.
100%. People want to talk about ancient Egypt and how great they were. They knew their history down to thousands of years into the past. If you ask them what happened and how at the time, then they would have been able to tell you how things had progressed. And this is the whole story of Plato and Atlantis, of how Plato even found out about this. What was it? Some guy named Solon or some shit like that. He
Yeah.
went to the Egyptians, and
Yeah,
then they were
Jimmy
telling
Priest,
him
yeah.
about all of that
Yeah.
different types of shit. But that memory was retained, and look what they were able to do. And look at, we have gotten some advanced levels of stuff, but how much stability do we really have? How much big of the big ideas that we have can we truly execute, if you get what I mean? So if we had that level of, if that information was retained, I bet we would have the technology and the advancements, but with way more stability, because we didn't let go of the wisdom of the old to support the newness that we have. If you get what I mean. But yeah, it's important. This is crazy alignment. I would definitely use this. This is a good day to launch something, to become something new, and to bet on yourself. It's a great day to bet on yourself. Mars Day too. Interesting. What about Venus entering Gemini? Venus is in Gemini now. How do you think this is going to be hitting us?
So our love matter, what we desire, how we relate, what we appreciate is moving from away from stability and seeking security and what makes sense into the realm of thoughts and ideas. So we could expand how we use our love matter and think about it more logically from like a dualistic sense. Since Venus being in Gemini, give it a very dualistic sense too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 100%. It's funny. We called Venus and Aries the whole phase, but Venus
Venus,
and Gemini might be the,
V,
the ultimate whole phase. I don't even know. See, Venus and Taurus, you're
RIP.
playing it. You're playing it stingy. Like you're just trying to figure out what you wanted or what niggas had to offer to you. So you're like, no, I'm a prize. I'm a prize, and kind of backing out to see what stability looks like, what you even want out of things. Gemini is where you start testing the things that you want, and you really start going out. So don't be expecting people to be faithful. Don't be expecting people to be not
Mm,
exploring other options at this time. So you're gonna have to be doing some other different type of magic if you want to be locking down on someone new. If you get what I mean.
You're trying to expand on like Venus from like a logical level and add more like mental attributes, so you don't get lost in the negative aspect of Venus, delusions and things like that. Venus in Gemini could actually be a blessing, could allow you to see the host actually.
100%. And kind of embrace, like, people often don't try
and,
things.
and be a hoe. Yeah, yeah.
You give it commending, like, a lot of the girls, I'm sure, the girls that we grew up with, a lot of them, you get damaged and trauma, not all of them make it out of the whole phase better, but some come out with wisdom and knowledge of where certain things can go wrong, and what they like, and what that's never going to happen to me again because I was in that bad situation. So a lot of us don't know when we go into things naively. We never really got to try things, and it builds up to um, lack of wisdom and emotional balance. It makes it harder to maintain equilibriums. So this experimentation phase of what you like and how to create relationships is very important. This is the time to create new types of friendships, new types of relationships. Like shit, you're around all bunch of black people. Try out the snow bunny for a change, or try out the Indian girl. Eat some samosas or some shit like that. Go around the world to really understand what it is that you like and how you can bring balance. A lot of people, like, say, if you never had like a Latina or like a black girl in your life, you're not gonna know what it's like, when niggas get all feisty and shit like that. If you know what I mean. So that's training. So you get some of that experience. Say you date some feisty Latina, she box you, she throw the plates and pants at you, and shorty can get crazy. Now, when you get with your little Becky or with your little snow bunny, you appreciate the calmness. You understand, and you can see the things you like, or maybe there's things that you like about the feistiness that you can introduce. Now you're working, and now you can curate a relationship that suits your needs and desires instead of Russian roulette type shit. So I do, you can't demonize the whole face too much.
Venus in Gemini is passport bro season, like literally, like
100%. How do you think the trine with Pluto and Aquarius is gonna add to things?
man. So how you utilize your love matter and these new things you're appreciating in terms of thinking about them, trying to analyze about them, is creating opportunities for you with how the world is being transformed on an associated level, on a technological level. So
Yeah.
Venus, if you don't utilize your love matter properly here to think and analyze about good relationships that can help you, like kind of create good opportunities for like association, as opposed to they prevent you from getting into the higher octave of Pluto, get lost in that Venus and Gemini aspect, with just flirting and shit like that, and forget what's happening in the real world. So yeah, and it's a trying too, which is gonna be a lot of energy. So you gotta learn how to stabilize yourself within all these thoughts, ideas, and they're gonna be transformative too. This is Venus and Pluto too.
Yeah, 100%. Like, people don't understand the intensity Pluto and Aquarius is gonna come in, but maybe we'll get a taste of like certain things. Like, people don't understand. I've seen niggas talk about Chat GPT helping them fix up the text messages that they're sending to shorties, like, and then the AI pictures and stuff like that. The advent of this technology is really intensifying how we communicated, introducing some elements that we have never seen before. So there's a lot of intensity. So this could bring, you know, shit. My girlfriend, I met through work, but we were able to connect through long distance because of text messaging. We talked mostly on Instagram and stuff like that. Imagine, without that type of tool and technology, like, you wouldn't have meet someone that you are so far apart with and develop a relationship that you can go. So it intensifies, add more levels to that. Shit, niggas are gonna start pulling Korean shorties that they've never met before. You know what I mean? Just be like, wait, what? Like, buying Asian or some shit like that. Asia's gonna start selling shorties, and shit with AI and the robots and silicon and all this different types of stuff. I bet we're gonna get a glimpse of how it's gonna change the dating world and how we relate with each other with alignments like this.
That makes a lot of sense. The dating world, yeah, yeah. And like some advanced technological attachment to that, yeah, yeah.
100%. So yeah, Tuesday's a powerful day, guys. Powerful day. We have to use use it somehow, manifest some shit somehow. But looking at Wednesday, the 12th, we have the moon in Capricorn opposing Mars in Cancer. How do you think this alignment is going to be hitting us?
Right now, we're gonna be emotionally focused on initiating practicality, structure, what makes sense, through learning how to create restrictions and boundaries, so we could give a birth to a proper status. And this is actually how your bones kind of work too. Your bones gotta work slowly through time for you to eventually go this amazing skeleton system.
Yeah,
So with the moon in, and basically literally the moon in Capricorn is your fluids drying up to become your bones. So you can think about right now your emotion is gonna be dried up, so you can focus on business status, your skeleton system, so you can build your body, your status in the world. But it's gonna be opposite Mars in Cancer, which is gonna be quite hard. Mars in Cancer wants you to focus on home, family, connecting, comfortability, which is quite hard since Mars is debilitated here, and the moon is also debilitated here. So that's double dysfunction. Your moon is your energy source, or how you put your emotions to things, but it's debilitated here, so it's gonna be hard for you to put your feelings. It's gonna be more dried up, restrictive, and then business orientated. And then Mars, your passion, desires, your nervous system that like go and shit like that is debilitated. It's fighting home issues, your mom, your dad, and like whatever. And they're the opposite now. Or if you flunked out, you don't know what to initiate.
you're 100%. It is kind of fucked up energy because Mars is already doesn't know what to do with this vulnerability. You know, so now I want to go forward. I don't know about this staying here and reflecting on this vulnerability. And then Moon and Capricorn's trying to suck out. You know, Mars is already struggling with this high level of vulnerability. Now it's telling it to not be vulnerable. It's like, how do I do these things? So, who knows? Irrationality or defensiveness. This could be a day where we may be pulled into some irrational type of defensiveness, or maybe we start to conserve or build up a little bit more walls in terms of conservativeness, where because of this opposition, because of this high level of vulnerability that we would be feeling, and when the moon adding this need to be efficient, this need for practicality, this need to do something about the situation, may lead to more of like a power play or more of like an emotional controlling type of thing, where you're trying to control the situation, not do what's best for the situation. If you get what I mean. In the energy of defense, in the energy of trying to be practical, but it may not end up playing out that way.
Mm. And that's why we had the moon in Sagittarius. Yeah, you need good morality to develop a good business and status and shit like that. Yeah.
100%, 100%. And then it's Aries season too. So as we're trying to spark and initiate, and these are new energies that we're trying to do. We're trying to see ourselves in new ways. So when that emotion is hard to fulfill, that moon in Capricorn, that wanting to be efficient, that wanting to have a level of stability and structure to operate within, may not be something that we have fully developed. So it's definitely going to be a challenge. And then so already we're tasked to build something to test the stability of something that we just built, that we just started, and then there's adding on Mars and Cancer's all this vulnerability already. So you can see this high level of intensity that's going on for sure. We need to hold ourselves down and try not to act irrationally on Wednesday. Try not to burn bridges. Try not to act purely out of emotion with this, because Sun in Aries, Moon in Capricorn, Mars in Cancer. This is a cardinal energy that we have going on. So maybe holding on to it, not letting it get ahead of you, not letting things cascade, and then it's something that you're gonna have to slow down after, so be really weary of the things that you set into motion on Wednesday. What about the moon in Capricorn making a trine with Mercury, Uranus, and Taurus? Sounds like there's going to be some help, some stability to help deal with this level of vulnerability. So maybe our emotional side could be going crazy, but the salvation would be what we do with our hands, what we do within reality, if you get what I mean.
So essentially, as Uranus being debilitated in Taurus is destabilizing everything for you to try to figure out how to be unique and original. So for you to get a new sense of like a home and family and create money and things for you. Mercury here is allowing you to think and articulate and figure out the details of what happened so far with this explosion of Uranus being in Taurus. Put the pieces together, which allow you to like think faster and things along this line. And then your moon also being stabilized and then grounded, focus on your status. This will allow kind of your thoughts and ideas, but also this energy in Uranus to really help you put all your ideas for your business status together.
100.
Since your mind is stabilized, even Uranus is destabilized, you have your mind there being stabilizing it, and then the moon is also debilitated, but it's a good stabilization to put your emotion aside. So this is a good opportunity.
100%. There's the opportunity to really because that Mercury and Taurus and Uranus being there too, we've already been contemplating our gifts and talents and the resources that we have at our disposal and what is of value around us. So when the moon gives us this desire to have more efficiency in our life, more structure within our life, we have some material, we already have direction, we've already been thinking about what's valuable. So when that urge to move to create that stability comes, it's not like we're grasping at straws. We have ideas, we have a thing to go, but now we can let our emotions get that opposition, our emotions get ahead of us, and we can act impulsively and reactionary and not listen to the stable information that we do have. But we're here to let you know about that stable information and to seek it out, and that this urge to create that stability can be satisfied through this connection, through your mental processes and what you already know to have value, and the changes that you have been observing happen to, on that value front. But yeah, that's how Wednesday's looking. Looking at Thursday, we have the moon, the late degrees of Capricorn in the morning time, and it's going to make a sextile with Neptune and Pisces. Anything that sextile would be hitting.
As you're continuing to emotionally restrict yourself so you can achieve your business and status, this allowing you to see the opportunity and how you can achieve even your highest dreams and illusion. Because sometimes Capricorn is all about ambition and shit like that. Like Capricorn built empires and shit like that. Ask George Washington and shit like that.
Yeah.
So you can see opportunity on how to do that, or see opportunity on how to bring the wrong dreams and illusion into reality also, which is both what he did.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And Capricorn gives that structure, gives that safety to Neptune. Like Neptune can really imagine, if you get what I mean. Like when you have a certain level of stability at your disposal, it allows you for the deep, more thoughts, and maybe you're able to see more influences coming your way as well. So it creates this opportunity to especially if you have structure over your life, over the things happen to your life, you have more control of what enters your subconscious. You have more control of what influences your belief system, and what influences that you want to have. So they can definitely work together more coherently, for sure. That urge to create structure within, and more emotional structure within your life, um, is automatically going to free up Neptune to do better, if you get what I mean, to be less delusional, especially if it's an honest integrity thing that you're trying to express. Um, it frees Neptune up from the illusions, because you're giving it material of real life to imagine and idealize. So it works better with that.
Am I lagging?
Yeah, you're kind of frozen.
Can I come back? Would it work
Yeah,
again?
leave and come back. Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, but then yeah, the moon and the moon's gonna leave Capricorn and come into a conjunction with Pluto and Aquarius. So this is gonna be intense too. Um, Passing over Pluto. I think it's the first time the moon's gonna be passing over Pluto fresh into Aquarius with this type of energy. So I feel like the moon, that Pluto is like a higher octave of the moon, where the moon represents feelings and emotions, and the Pluto is maybe the transformation of those emotions, or like the end product, or where those emotions go through after time, after they intensify, after they're magnified. um, so when the moon and Pluto kind of come together, it's super intense emotions where they don't really clash, where there's a lot of accepting of emotions and then intensifying them to the highest degree. So that urge for more structure and stability that we would have had with the moon in Capricorn, especially the sun in Aries, where we're trying to initiate our individuality, we're trying to create room for ourselves, trying to start things, to get things going within ourselves. And then we have this urge to be wanting to be more established within whatever we're doing. The moon goes into Aquarius, and we start fixating on these high level ideas. Maybe we start getting rebellious and start attacking the oppositions, or we start linking up with other people that have the same feelings and emotions. When those types of things happen, it gets really intense, really intense. Once you connect your emotions and your ability with Pluto, your power of transformation and the intensity, your obsessions, once they unite in Aquarius, you can really dive into some body of information and emotionally imprint into it. And this is important for you to have the right information to emotionally imprint on. And this is where the honesty of Aries season comes into play, where if who you are expressing yourself as an individual is honest, and the moves that you're making are in line with your desires, as the moon goes through these signs and it ends up with that conjunction in Aquarius, it's going to put you into the right social environment for you to be emotionally imprinted on, because your expression of your desires was honest. So it led you to where you really needed to go. But when there's those distortions, and where you question your first thought and giving into your second, third one, or you're listening to other people, when you're doing what other people want during Aries season, you're automatically setting yourself up for failure. And and with this conjunction, you're gonna be put into a situation where you're gonna be emotionally imprinted on, or pushed to be emotionally imprinted on, onto people that don't align, that aren't like-minded with you, and that kind of try and put you into a box and limit your individual expression, where it's all about them and how they feel. And if you don't completely align with that type of shit, if you don't completely agree with that type of shit, it's gonna um, it's gonna drive you crazy, and you won't be able to really connect with the people in there, and you'll kind of just be going with emotions. That's kind of what happens with a lot of Aquarian energy, where people get together based off of certain ideas and ideals. It doesn't allow for the variancy that human beings naturally have, and the different perceptions due to experience that people have. So when you see certain movements, you know, certain things, like, say, just for a small example, say something like Black Lives Matter or whatever. Me being black, I'm supposed to automatically, by social standards, get behind Black Lives Matter and shit like that. And not to say that negative things aren't happening to black people, um but that doesn't mean I have to agree with that particular organization, and or that certain things that their messages that they're putting forward, certain messages that they're putting forward don't really align holistically with how I think. So you step away from it. But because you're black, you're supposed to attach to that. But me personally, I've never experienced racism to that high level of degree. I'm a Sag Moon. For some reason, I felt like God's been guiding me my whole life. Like, certain situations, just don't happen, and it's happening to other people around me. That's 100% for sure. But me and my personal experience is not like that, but yet I'm being forced to accept that as my identity, by people like within those organizations, if you get what I mean, because of certain characteristics that I would say, even though that's not my direct experience. But yeah, I'm just talking about Pluto and Aquarius. The moon conjuncting this nigga, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I was just talking about the moon conjuncting Pluto and Aquarius. How do you think that's gonna be affecting us?
Also, as we're because where's the moon? And
And Aquarius, well it was in late degrees of Capricorn when that sextile with Pisces, and then now it's starting to conjunct with Aquarius. Fucking technology ain't shit. I don't know why we hype this shit up to the max. This shit ain't shit. The fuck. Hey yo.
Mhm.
But yeah, moon conjuncting Pluto and Aquarius. Because Pluto 0 degrees Aquarius. So right when the moon leaves Cap, you're gonna hit that conjunction. I was talking about or describing it as like being emotionally imprinted by a body of information or a group of people where, an intense situation really imprints on you. And if you're not honest with your individual expression with this Leo season, you're going to find yourself up with a group of people or a body of information that doesn't really align with your desires or that is counter to you, and then be emotionally imprinted by that. And then now you're going to have to you know fight through that, or now there's kind of like a whole body of information that's influencing you, that's emotionally imprinted into you, that's not even what you need to be knowing, or that's something that you have to fight against or rebel against. But yeah, that's that energy on Thursday. Looking at Friday, we have Venus in Gemini squaring Saturn in Pisces. How do you think this is gonna hit us?
So as Saturn is forcing us to stabilize and restrict ourselves when it comes to what kind of dream and illusion we want to bring into reality. The square with Venus in Gemini, as we're also focusing on our love matter, being broad and being communicated with these things. There's going to be difficulties between them, or like almost like a subconscious block coming from Saturn Aquarius, and then Venus in. You seeing how it affects Venus in Gemini.
100%. 100%. With restriction on and more structure on our imagination, Venus and Gemini can be very dangerous in terms of the things that we entertain, the things that we like, we create relationships with, that we're testing out, can eventually cascade to build belief systems that are opposed against, that take away from our own structure, and that cause attacks by authority figures that we may not even know, like in modern day age, like you may be doing, connecting with something or expressing yourself in a certain way, and then this happens with kids all the time. Kids don't even know. Parent just smacks you on your hand. You don't know why. You're playing with something, and they didn't want you to do. You're just experimenting with your likes. You wanted to see how the grass tasted. You wanted to see how that snail tasted. So you're just experimenting. You're just testing it out. And your mom goes and smacks the shit out your hand. And you're like, she's just like, no, no explanation, is given. Like you don't really understand. Um, but later down the line, that can create limiting belief systems. Now he's scared, if you get what I mean. Or
Oh yeah,
certain other
it's
things.
like Gemini is like your immediate surroundings. So you could say like as you're trying to appreciate, find love there, expand your universe as a kid. Gemini like deal with early education too, so it makes sense. You adding knowledge to your love matter too here. But as you're going through it, you go through like you get a, like CJ was saying like a weird subconscious experience that you did not know about. Like you placed like a dream and illusion in an area of a house that you don't want to come there for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Within a certain relationship, you got comfortable with something because you're given the freedom to experience it, or maybe your environment catered to certain wants and likes. But once you try and expand beyond that, or when you start to go into your larger role, the Saturn and Pisces, you start seeing all these boundaries that weren't given to in your surroundings. So if you connect so deeply with your surroundings with this transit, um, you may not you may be experimenting and diving things that society or Saturn responsibility, all these things is going to force you to let go of, or make it harder for you to do that. So you have to really see where you're aligned with, and what relationships you start and what you experiment with, because later down the line that's going to create it's going to build the structure of your belief system and the authority of your imagination and your influences and how things kind of affect you on that level. So you want to choose the squares or the frustrations that lead you to become a better person, that lead you to the, define the skills that you're actually going to need, instead of becoming skilled into something that is not your goal in life, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
What about Moon in Aquarius opposite Lilith and Leo?
So as you're emotionally focused on your association and communicating and analyzing, you're gonna go through difficulties, and but it's gonna create a learning opportunity for you to handle the embarrassment when it comes to
Yeah.
Lilith and Leo, the darker side of your emotion when it comes to your self-expression or how you show your truth. But it's gonna be hard here since your emotion in Capricorn is already dried up, but in Moon and Aquarius is already like it doesn't even exist at this point.
It's
So
cold. It's
yeah,
cold.
it's cold. So like an opposition is also so it's creating more difficulties for you to interpret it, the darker side of your emotion, because it's not your moon. Lilith here, this is the darker side of the moon we never see, and then you trying to interpret it from a highly logical side of Aquarius, which it doesn't even make sense. So like you're probably gonna fail. It's gonna be a lot of like learning opportunities, to be honest.
100%. Because if you get too cerebral or trying to make too much logic out of your emotions, yeah, you may not, in the disconnect, you may not realize or have the right perspective on that Lilith and Leo energy of, accepting that embarrassing or the dark side of your feelings and emotions, and really looking at it holistically. Because if you discount your emotional connection to it and you disattach, with that Aquarius things, you're not going to make the right decisions, and you may judge it in terms of, oh, society thinks this, or the most logical thing would be to do this, would be to stop doing this, but that's not taking into account your personal experience and your personal emotions, and that may not actually resolve the issue, if you get what I mean. So try not to get too cerebral with your feelings and emotions, to try and be too logical, because the things that you're going to be hit with aren't necessarily always going to be making sense.
And that's the whole story about like Lilith, how Lilith was, I think, the first wife of Adam, and instead of being submissive to Adam, she tried to clap Adam, and which is literally what's gonna happen to you. But that's what like vulnerability is and emotion is, and here it's on the stage too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Embarrass them in front of God. the ultimate the ultimate audience. That's funny. But yeah, the moon is also squaring Mercury and Uranus and Taurus. How do you think that's gonna
So as you're
affect?
thinking so high and so progressive, and learn how to associate and disassociate from different ideas and mentality, especially coming from Pluto conjunction, who's accelerated your emotional stand on who to stand with when it comes to this all these ideas and shit like that. But now you're going through learning opportunities on how can you bring it down, stabilize it, make sense out of it, so you don't be so airheaded, so it could be like physical, so it could make sense. The Mercury and Uranus is helping you to bring it down, it's helping you to ground yourself as you're emotionally flying so high.
100%. Moon in Aquarius will have you start, maybe you can logically see what needs to be done, but you don't admit the process or the resources that it's going to take. You have the idea and the vision, you need to try and push it forward. But the square Mercury and Uranus is already going to be telling you, okay, what about your funds? Or what about, do you even have the skills to pull that off? Do you even have the connections? It's like, do you even have, your mind space being in grounded in what's practical is going to guide your moon into being less cerebral, more in connection. Air and earth are both the material world substance. They're both analytical, but they rely on each other, where earth is the yin of that analytical, and air is the yang of that analytical. So you come up with a whole bunch of ideas, but how are you going to do it without that practical knowledge? You so this is where it comes into play, where we may have the urge to rebel or to change things or to push something forward, but do we actually have the knowledge? Mercury and Uranus and Taurus is probably, we're going to be put into a situation where we see what we have to learn, or we're put into a situation to do that learning, to fulfill that emotion that we want to push the thing forward.
It's funny. Once I went to the gym with a dude who I did not, who was an Aquarius, till I realized that later. And because you know how I realized that, because his head looked like a microphone, and I remember Dolo speaking, was roasting Aquarius about that aspect. But when we went to the gym, this dude did not even work out. This dude just talked about working out. I went to the details,
The
the
whole
information,
range.
analyzation, everything. I'm sitting here doing these bench press, doing these pull ups, and like I'm looking at him as he's just the mind like floating. Well, I'm the reality of it, like Taurus.
Yo, 100%.
Like, I
It's
could not.
funny.
To me, like I couldn't believe it. I'm like, yo, that doesn't even make sense.
100%. Air signs, man. I'm telling you, air signs beyond that type of shit. Yeah. I can so see that for sure. Millie's brother, he's a Libra. Um, he knows, he knows about UFC and some of these fighters sometimes, and I would talk about, like, I watch that shit. Like, I really like this stuff, and he likes Israel, a fighter in Israel Adesanya, because he likes anime and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
and he just watching Naruto and stuff like that. He's into him. But so I was talking about him and showing him fights, and he's talking as if he knows what's going on. And it's like, yo, I watch this shit, and even I don't know what's going on. Why are you pretending? But it's that air quality, where that's where they are, in that cerebral realm, where they can talk about things. Libra can add fluff to anything. Aquarius can add different thoughts and more logic and reason to anything. Gemini can mindlessly chatter about anything, if you get what I mean. Very cerebral.
Like I always thought Libra is the least cerebral air sign because it's ruled by Venus. But I'm like, because the way they use logic, information, and communicate is more like illusion, like beautiful, cooperative, Lucifer type of shit. That's the best way to put it. While Gemini's and Aquarius, in my opinion, push ideas to like the highest realm and shit like that.
100%. I think Libra is more towards an end.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
their
yeah.
communications more towards, I want something out of this, and that's why I'm talking about it. Those niggas just want to talk. Those other ones just want to talk. 100% for sure. But yeah, that's how Friday's looking. Looking at Saturday, we have the Moon in late Aquarius making a sextile with the Sun and Jupiter in Aries. How do you think that sextile is gonna be hitting us?
So as you've been emotionally focused on, as you're emotionally focusing on developing your association, the right information, this is allowing you to see opportunity on how to combine all these thoughts, ideas, air element into this fire you've been building, and that expand on with for your vision and imagination. The sun and
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter conjuncting there, and if you do the moon and Aquarius right, find the right cloud, the right information, the right people, you could like feed that vision You could like add the right information. You could add more logic to it, more information. So it doesn't just burn through reality. So it doesn't just not be something that's not sustainable, but something could be fed through a circuit, which is how the brain and nervous system, Aries and Aquarius, work together too.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And emotionally reacting to fixated information or to fixated groups of people where they're talking about specific things. Like Aries is a starter, a self starter. So you give it a concentration or something. It's like if you give Aries a big pack, Aries will go out hiking with nothing. They'll do it. They'll go and scale the mountain. They'll take that trek. But if you give them the water and all of that, no, they're still gonna do it. But they're actually gonna make it to the top this time. They're gonna have, have the wits about them. They'll be able to tell you the story and stuff like that. I feel like that's what Aquarius does, where you have either people behind you or you have information behind you to back up your dynamic movements, to back up your bold moves, your initiation. You're initiating things based off of certain levels of information. So this sextile is very powerful.
This is a crazy energy because like the earlier example we were speaking about the sun being the son and the father being together ruling or initiating something. Now having the moon in Aquarius is almost like having the council or congress now coming to support you build on that a vision. They saw, oh, you started this thing with your royal family, oh, we appreciate it, we can help you build it. This is why you never see a government go against a religion in their country, or even the religion be stronger than the government itself.
One
But
hundred percent.
subconsciously, but you believe it's the other way around.
100%. Yeah, because people they see game recognized game. If you get what I mean, oh,
Mhm,
you have influence
mhm, mhm.
over people and building mentalities. Oh, that's what we're doing too. Oh shit.
Mhm. And this is also what you notice with different styles of government. Some of them are centralized or decentralized because they all tend to you either hold all the power or you share it in different ways. You give it so which actually help you balance things out and not allow things to be too corrupted if everybody holds the power in. So like a moon and Aquarius will give you these type of ideas because the sun in Jupiter be, oh no, I want to hold all this to power and we started this shit, we gonna rule it and shit like that. And moon and Aquarius, it does make sense, but like
Yeah.
we could like decentralize it a little bit so everybody feels safe. So if you guys take a full risk, you guys die, destroy us, we are gonna have something too.
Mm-hmm. 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 100%. 100%. How do you think Saturn in Pisces making an exact trine and sextile with the North and South node is going to be affecting us? They're all
Oh
4 degrees.
wow! So this is seem like a lot of confirmation on what do you want to do and what do you want like to stabilize because Saturn and Pisces, this is Saturn is karma, and then Pisces you're dealing with the karma of your dreams and illusion or your subconscious mind, and this allows you to get opportunity on how to deal with your self node, aka detach for certain vulnerabilities and emotion through bringing more reality into your subconscious mind, bringing it more like into the surface. It's not foggy anymore. It has a reality base. So now you could separate all the vulnerabilities out of it, so you can actually solidify it more. And then the trine with the north node is allowing you also to see how you could bring it to physical reality. You could make sense out of it. So you could ground it too. So it doesn't always be dreams or illusion. But it's
Think.
easier here with Saturn because Saturn is like a long term thing. And then when you see this, you could like go for long term basically.
Mm-hmm. And it's working. I feel like it's very helpful, especially because with the North nodes in Taurus and Scorpio, these are long term signs, if you get what I mean. Taurus wants this stability long term. um Scorpio wants this emotional stability long term. Like they can really hold on to energy for a long time. So combining it with Saturn, the father of time, it's like consolidating like a lot of the things that maybe we would be holding on to or the things that we should be holding on to. So definitely, like what Harriet said, a lot of confirmation in terms of what's actually providing the stability within your life and what direction you should go. I feel like there's going to be some alley oops where especially because look at the trine. The trine is with the south node. So there may be an easy path for you to get lost into your old previous limiting emotions based off of certain insecurities and things that had happened into your past, and let that build the structure of your imagination and subconscious and how you imagine about the future and idealize about the future. Or you can look at where you want to go and that vision of you in that stable place. What type of actions and effort do you need to put towards to build, that mental picture as well? But that's a sextile to the north node, so it's something you're going to reach your hand out for. So it'll be easier to think about the past and to get lost into the past and to use your past to escape you. You could also use it to benefit yourself 100%, but you have to be weary when you're doing that, because you could you could really set yourself far back, if you get what I mean. Back to that snakes and ladders reference. Maybe sometimes it's better to go down a snake than a ladder, because maybe the ladder that's in front of you is a small ladder, but if you went down the snake, there's a big ladder that'll take you all the way to the top, if you get what I mean. So sometimes going connecting to past energies is not necessarily that bad. But I commend you to look at that sextile with the North Node to see what opportunities there's there to use your imagination to gain stability, to move towards physical reality and less towards your emotional world. How can you bring your emotional world and imagination to physicality? I applaud you guys to hold your hand up with this type of energy. So yeah, that's how Saturday's looking. Looking at Sunday, we have the moon in Pisces conjuncting Saturn. How do you think this is gonna hit?
So now we're gonna be emotionally connecting to our dreams, illusion, la la land, and trying to extract knowledge and wisdom from these things. This is why even Pisces even dream or have illusions. This is why even we do it too. So you could like this is why I have imagination. So we could test it out and then extract knowledge and wisdom, see if it does not make sense. Pisces like is where you test it out, and then Sagittarius is where you actually experience it, and then Virgo is where you integrate it into your reality, and then Gemini is where you bring it to society and then talk about it, and then it makes sense and shit like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be emotionally focused on your dreams and illusion, but the conjunctions to Saturn is making your moon get your emotion to slow down, focus on longevity, and so you could build this dream or illusion as opposed to just get lost in this mutable aspect of Pisces. The sad is kind of slowing that aspect.
And you can see how the progression of things, where we're talking about the moon traveling through Aquarius, meeting Pluto, and that emotional imprint from that information that we would have been exposed to, depending on how honest we are with our individual expression and chasing our desires. Now, when we go to the moon in Pisces conjunct Saturn, so what are we imagining? What are we being influenced by? Is it along the lines after that imprint of that information? Now, can we utilize that information to visualize and add more imagination and creativity, and more in-depth subtle wisdom to our individual expression and into our desires? Or are we still flunked out? Or are we going to get lost into illusions and be manipulated by other people? It's going to go and show that there was a distortion in how we express our desires and how we express our individuality, if we're being fed delusions, if we're uncertain, if we're being manipulated on subtle levels that we're not aware of. Then it goes and shows how honest you were with your Aries expression. But if you were honest, now you're getting a whole bunch of creative ideas and creatively connecting on who you can be. Once you use your sword, once you throw a punch, like, people don't realize, like, you can kill a nigga with a punch. People don't realize how powerful or how fragile our lives are. Once you throw that
Very
punch, you
true.
don't even have to be Haji no Impo or nothing. Say you just knock a nigga out or something like that, and you're like, oh shit, I actually have this power. And say if you're honest with that imagination and desire, when you add more imagination to it, and like now you're coming up with whole, you have the power. So now you can come up with different ways of how it could be used and stuff like that. But you had to have been honest with that expression, if you get what I mean. But yeah, that's how I see that conjunction. What about the moon trining Mars in Cancer?
So as you're emotionally focused on your dreams and illusion, this is allowing you to get opportunity on how to give. You could bring a broader emotional sense into Mars and Cancer. Since right now your passion and desires are so debilitated, you don't know how to take action on the home. The Moon in Pisces could bring like a broader emotional understanding how to do that better and bring a sense of wisdom. But also the Mars in Cancer will make sure you have a way you're more direct as opposed to you being flunked out in your feelings too. So
That's true. That's true. Where you can
it,
really attach emotion to your passion at this time. Yeah.
it's almost like I said earlier, being in the bathtub and then Mars and Cancer is the baby kicking the water and then you're just trying to have a falling like have this good imagination as you falling in the water and he keeps on kicking the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Creating disturbances within it.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you mean. I
But
get
that
what you mean.
but that could save your life because some people die in the bathtub.
Making you more aware of certain emotional situations or whatever it is. Yeah, because super relaxed, that nigga dead now. Yeah, that's that's you being dead for sure. Yeah, I so see that. The moon in Pisces, you really want peace. Pisces genuinely wants peace. And they will come up with all different type of illusions in order to fulfill that idea of peace, if you get what I mean. So Mars and Cancer already being in that vulnerable state with our passions. We're really with our, especially in the area of our passions, we want that level of peace. So we can really emotionally connect with certain things that are of with our ideals and with these higher imaginations because we're stuck in these vulnerable things. When we have that see that higher imagination, we can really emotionally connect to that, and that can lift us out of that or give us the strength to deal with the vulnerabilities, give us the strength to deal with all of that, just so we can see if that's real or not when we're still grounded in reality, though. Otherwise, shit could go sour fast. Now you're starting coming up with imaginations on your home. You're demonizing your mom. You're demonizing everybody. Everything. Everybody else is falling and shit like that. That's where the energy can go wrong. You start thinking that your people are opposing your passions in ways that they aren't, like people that people said no to you when they didn't really say no. They're like, I'm tired, or maybe next time. Like, oh, hey, y'all guys always in the way of my dreams and all of this different type of shit. It can go sour real fast. Moon in Pisces squaring Venus in Gemini.
So as your emotions and feelings are focused on your dreams and illusion, your love matter, you're communicating about your love matter, you're analyzing, trying to be logical, which for making you take more action about them. While your moon, your emotions and feelings are more like dreamy and you're trying to fall asleep. So there's gonna be this learning opportunity on how you could like make sense about your love matters, make them logical, but also make them come from a source of something related to your dream or illusion. So you don't get into just relationship. This is Gemini, so it's dried out based on information, and then it's just fake relationship. Which Gemini energy is perfect for me, and not to say that Pisces is not on even the positive side about it, but it would be better for long term like relationship.
I get what you mean. Well, more of a connection, especially because we're dealing with water. When especially like say we generally manifest the people and the relationships in our life that have certain the same subconscious imprints. If they manifest differently, it's different. Like hurt people. Toxic people kind of attract other toxic people. That type of thing. People with mommy issues probably attract people with daddy issues, type of thing, or mommy issues and mommy issues, which actually, daddy issues type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely highly connected. And yeah, you'll never see like with Venus and Gemini with these earlier spring type energies. You don't see immediately how these things are going to cascade later down the line. That's why having imagination, visualizing how things play out can really save you from making the wrong first steps and better aligning your first steps. So this is what this square can really provide you. Just a emotional tap of what your real ideals are, what your subconscious mind is showing you that you truly want, and maybe then you can go and see if Venus and Gemini can show you that stuff. If you can find those levels of appreciation, dig around, but have that in the back of your mind, type shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, that's the energy of the week. Thanks for watching, much appreciated. Check out our website, truespace.biz, and check out our Instagram, truespace underscore. Like and subscribe the video if you fuck with it, and yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip.
Mm-hmm. Take care.